I come from a very crypto background for 9 years, been in the industry. So I think this is still a huge step for the crypto industry, even though it might not feel like that. But I think, being a part of this conversation that we're having today with you is just a woo, it's almost a win. So I would love to touch a little bit on what you said on different geographies and different use cases, because I think it's very important to understand the economies right now, and that's why they differ, and the needs for people in different regions. But before we go to that, on coexistence and co-working together, right? And do you think that regulations like MiCA in Europe, and we have the Genius Act in the US, do you think that they help move this conversation along and move implementation along, or they kind of slow them down at this point?
Well, I'm 100% believe that it's accelerating a lot, because it created confidence for more traditional players to actually look into that space more seriously. I think there's one, without even talking about the security and like regulation for the sake of comfort of users, etc. I think it's just what I saw during last year is like move the needle, how traditional financial institutions, being from banking or asset management, are actually started to look into that, to that instrument being stablecoins. Beyond, I don't take like a crypto part as a more investment asset management instrument. I'm not comment on that, but started to really much more seriously consider like how we should play about that. And I think because the regulation creates this level of comfort, it creates regulated entities like Circle, for example. I'm more speaking for Europe. Regulated entities also create, or other smaller stablecoin issuers, they create comfort for users to start implementing. Because what matters in stablecoins is like, first of all, reserves, I would say, and many other elements, of course, but like users need to be sure how this instrument is being operated in order to start using it at scale. So I think regulation brings scale.
It does sound true, right? Because it makes it understandable for everybody involved, including the companies, how to operate and how to provide that service, and for customers and how to use that and whether it's legal or not. Michael, is this your experience as well? Like, for instance, with WeFi, that regulations help shape how you approach the business, or maybe they kind of stale, or the compliance is so stiff that, because I know that from experience, that compliance could be a pain in the back. And so is that your experience with regulations in terms of the crypto industry?
Yeah, my experience is based on different projects where I see that with the stricter regulation, so it becomes more with operational discipline. So if we're talking about the finance and regular people who don't want to be afraid of something which is not transparent, the regulation plays a very good role here. So they make it from the position of the strong risk management, like compliance is a part of it, monitoring is a part of it. So everybody hates the compliance where they could potentially block some sort of the very fast initiatives, but finally for the large scale, it makes more clear governance and long-term thinking in the region, in the products. And I have a lot of very, very nice examples where because of the new regulation, more transparency comes, and because of that, we see the stable coins become look and feel more like a fiat. So it's kind of the same electronic money, but on a different operational platform with the different operational expenses, with the more advantages to move faster, be more transparent, etc. So this is evolution. And we need to just make sure we go in with this regulation to the right way, which I think it's just a fact. So it's become more popular also because the regulators make it more secure and more safe.
It is true, and thank you for that. It's just it differs a lot from the overall sentiment in the crypto space. That regulation is not something that the community might be welcoming easily. But I'm glad to hear that people have different opinions on this because I would
Yeah.
agree.
By the way, and Christine, do you remember how it was perceived in the beginning? So it's kind of the regulation was very transparent and clear. Let's block it.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's just decline all the crypto because we don't understand it. It's too risky. It's too dangerous. Let's
Yes,
don't use it. Right
and
now,
also.
it's completely opposite. So right now, it's let's use it in this way. Let's make it compliant. Let's make it transparent. And this is the thing I love.
And to your point, I'm going to add, and then we're going to move on to another question is, it used to be a couple of years ago, or even more than a couple of years ago, in the US, a lot of crypto cases were investigated and judged based on the Securities Act, which is, if I'm not mistaken, from 1913, which is not specifically fair to a technology that is very new. So I agree with that. So, but actually going to a more practical level, right? According to a Visa report, I've used Visa in 2024, because we don't have fresh data at the moment, but $905 billion dollars were used in remittances all over the globe, right? Hundreds of millions of people, expats, digital nomads, immigrants use this kind of way to send money back to their countries, right? I would love to know how fast and how expensive are cross-border payments today.
So let's put it that way. I think there's never one answer that fits all, depending which geography, which corridor, etc. So they're definitely very different. We play in a cross-border payment for a while. We have a platform also which sends money today with cards, accounts, and mobile wallets. So we're taking this place seriously. I would say since the beginning of Visa, is connecting people, geographies, and businesses to be able to spend. So now, of course, the way we were kind of talking about this very, very often is there are many things which were solved, and I think we solved quite a lot in the cross-border payments. Is you can actually travel and pay instantly and actually get your good and service when travel somewhere, because you have messaging system which work instantly. And so that's why we as a consumers can benefit from it. However, the settlement finality doesn't happen instantly. It takes several days, especially when we are in a cross-border framework.
And it's intermediaries, right? It takes days.
Exactly. And many intermediaries, like depending which country you are, depending how many correspondent bank you have. That's why there is no single answer to that. There's definitely inefficiency which exists because the systems processes were like batch way down, etc. So we know there is inefficiencies. I think it's commonly accepted fact. And so that's also the place where we introduce stablecoin in our set of technologies and set of solutions that covers cross-border payment. So we were saying there's a way, look holistically, which solution fits best. And now the big move which we are making and made announcing it end of last year, we're introduce stablecoins to our money movement platform, exactly to give the ability to send money to the stablecoin wallet, to the crypto wallet, basically connecting to our previous conversation, our client, which may be a TradFi working only in fiat, using our platform, being able to send stablecoin to the recipient address. And I think this is super important, and where we position ourselves is actually connecting the two worlds, because I believe personally, and that will coexist for some time, because we have infrastructure layers, platform layers, interfaces layers, which need to be solved across the globe, so we can say, no, there's a different technology which took over everything.
But do you think in that sense, stablecoins could potentially replace any other currency in this particular direction, cross-border payments, or it's impossible at this point?
I mean, we will see. I think to the previous point that Michael gave is there are multiple stablecoins, there are multiple currencies, there are multiple blockchains they are running on. I think there will be we will live through a period of proliferation of different stablecoins. And then we will see some of them winning, maybe consolidating, we'll see. Because today, even if they think about all initiatives on a digital money, we have private initiatives launching stablecoins, we have consortiums starting to play in stablecoins. We also have cross-country initiatives trying to think about what digital money format can win. So I think there will be many things happening around. Definitely stablecoins connected with the strongest global currency have a very strong potential, but then issuers will be different. So we'll see which one wins. To the point is use cases matters, distribution matters.
Fair. That is a very fair point. And thank you for that. Michael, as a global head of payments at WeFi, I know that your experience with cross-border payments is a little bit different, right? Can you talk to us a little bit about that? How much does it take for a transaction to come through? And I'm pretty sure I know the answer. And have you found that people use that for remittances as well, not only for just payment for things and different transaction peer-to-peer, but do you have use cases like that?
That was a very, very interesting question you asked. Will it replace? So my view...
It might make sense in my mind, but...
Yeah, but in my mind, it's something like it couldn't be asked like that, because what is the stable coin in like from the beginning? What is this? So you still rely on fiat, right? So you're not removing this from the equation. What you're doing actually is that you're looking for the solution how to be more efficient working with fiat you have. Okay, so previously that was the idea and the concept of electronic money. So let's put the fiat to someone, and this someone electronically could help you be more efficient, transparently move money inside the country or outside the country. And that was fair enough to say, like, this was the solution at that point. The evolution comes with the stable coins, where this is not the one or two or few entities who is agreed how they will work with the fiat and calling this electronic money. This is some more wider concept where you always remember that every coin, this is the stable coin, every coin connected to the fiat amount somewhere. Okay, and this somewhere is secure, regulated, as if financial institutions should be. But with the stable coin, you could do a very important thing Alexandra just mentioned. So you could give to the big corporate companies working globally directly to the person, transfer funds almost immediately and make them available. Before that, it was the problem, which again Alexandra mentioned, is that even if digitally formed recipient that, hey, you have this amount of money, the problem is that how to make this settlement happen immediately. Because in reality, the settlement happened the day after, it always the time lag. And for the financial network, this is very critical and important, because there are not many ways how financial institutions could credit the user. So it's a different process. It's not a debit money anymore. With the stables, with the crypto blockchain, it works like a real natural debit platform. There is not like even technical possibility to put a minus into the account. So you should actually be able to transfer money in the very short period of time. And stable coins with the blockchain infrastructure give this opportunity to anyone, not only for the P2P transfers, but also for the corporate. So, and it looks like you're still working with something you know already. So it's a stable coin connected to the fiat account, currency, but you actually receiving the funds and value almost immediately. And this is something when it comes to the Visa and big infrastructure players become very, very, very important, because you could scale from this part. If Visa could transfer to you money immediately everywhere in the globe, so it proves that with the new technology, the funds transfer could be really global without a delay, which is critical and important. Again, cost efficiency. So you don't need to pay, you don't need to wait, you don't need to put a credit to the customer's account. You actually receive the money, which is very interesting to have in the future.
So many points I'd like to address and follow up, but unfortunately we don't have a lot of time. But in the end, I think there's going to be different options, and you give people a choice, right, on which option would you like to use. I guess that's the symbiosis in the end. But moving to the final part of our conversation, unfortunately, because we don't have a lot of time. I'd love you to, Alexandra mentioned that a little bit before on different use cases and geographical locations, but I'd love for you both to think that in your experience, Alexandra at Visa and Michael at WeFi, did you have any experience kind of realizing how does the growing influence of stablecoins affect the daily life of ordinary people? It could be specific region, it could be different jurisdictions, and does it really change their daily routine? Do you have a specific example or just stats? That's fine. And is there any friction point, or are there any friction points that as customers move their funds between fiat and crypto, and whether they could be overcome? It's a lot, but again, right? The first part is, do you have any specific examples of how using stablecoins in ordinary life, thanks to your solutions, both at Visa and WeFi, how is that changing someone else's life? That's a big one, Alexandra. Or maybe you have some stats that
I don't think I have like stats in my head. I can give an example. And again, I'm covering European region. I think I will be less a witness of
no, but that's fair.
changing regular lives. I think it's widely recognized that stablecoins are a very valuable instrument in emerging markets, where the currencies are less stable, with the high inflation rates, where people can easily access cross-border payments, but also store money in a form of stablecoins. So again, I cannot witness it personally. I'm sitting in the middle of Europe's continent with a stable currency, and so that's why I'm definitely recognizing this use case is extremely valid from, if you talk about consumers. I think what we hear, and where definitely the role will be for consumers and businesses in the cross-border payments, being either remittances or payouts to freelancers as salaries, or humanitarian aids. So I think there are many places where stablecoins, when the rails are being there, and especially user experience side, will be solved and simplified. I think they will be having quite an impact of, yes, people and personal lives, because it can provide speed and accessibility, which today is lacking in some of the corridors, in some of geographies. And it definitely, I think, will be bringing efficiencies in corporate frameworks. So what we hear is more interest from cash management and intercompany transfers, where stablecoins can, and already not can, but actually drive value for the users on a corporate level. And that's a use case which is, I think, has demonstrated highest growth rate end of last year. So I think that's part of the question. And the other part, more like what it can bring, easy simplicity. I think when I return back to the foundation of simplicity, it's ease of access and ease of use experience. I think the work which would need to happen within the ecosystem, and I think it's an intersection again between fiat and what happens in the blockchain and stablecoin, is some kind of similar standards. Because today we have multiple blockchains, we have multiple stablecoins. I think one of the thought which I quite adhere to is, I think we are like in the early days of internet with different protocols running around. And so that's why it's not that easy yet to communicate. I think when that path is solved on one side, and another part, like I think a better abstraction for the users of some complexity, which remains today, of using custodial, self-custodian wallet. I think one, those two things solve or evolve, not solve. I don't think we can solve forever anything. It's like evolve towards the simplicity and unification. I think this is where the benefit of those tools, which we're discussing today, will become wider accessible and wider adopted.
To your point of I guess to understand how popular the program is, it's a follow-up, I'm sorry. But do you have to attract users to this stablecoin program? Or
we don't let's put it that way. So we don't, it's Michael will better respond to this answer, because we are not a B2C company. So we're working with our members who come to us and want to issue a Visa card or use our platform in order to do the cross-border payments. So our goal is our simplicity, how it's getting easy for those partners who come to us to launch such a product. So this is our space. Yes, we're not attracting consumers, but of course it needs to be also our collaboration set up and work need to be evolving and to be fit for purpose.
Yeah.
So the consumers or businesses who are using the card connected to stablecoin wallet, it's actually become wider used. But to your point, today we rather have like a lot of demand towards those programs. So I think we definitely see good traction across the world.
And thank you. Yeah, fair point. I'm sorry about that. Oh, all right, Michael. Please, it's your time to shine. So, how does, in your experience at WeFi and other companies that you have worked, but more specifically, I think WeFi, right? How do stablecoins change ordinary people's lives? And do you see any specific examples or maybe stats like, the growth in some region with that or this or payment or anything that you could give us, that would be the time.
Yeah, we have a very, very good example. I think we just need to look on our community. So how they use stable coins right now, like this part of the finance give them ability to invest, ability to earn, ability to move money to the place where they really want them to be, and they have an access to the platform which makes money work on that. And coming forward, the connection of the payments to something which we know as a platform for our community gives them more and more ability to travel, to pay with the money they earn everywhere, to be very, very secure in a way. How to, let's say, how to understand what is the value they're getting. So with the stable coins, it's much more easier because you don't need to every time go and check what is the price for the coin. With the stables, you more or less in the trend. You understand the value you're getting. You could spend this value because the rest of the world also understand the value, and you could make payments. You could send the stables to your friend. You could connect card. You could connect account, and we call this decentralized platform, the bank platform. In our way of thinking, in this complexity where there are multiple stable coins, multiple networks, multiple possible ways how to manage these funds, different regulations, and etc. So the concept of the on-chain banking for us, it's to give a simplicity to the user. It should be a card, an account. It should be financial services. It should be very transparent, as if you're using something you already know, but on the new rails. Like with electric car, you don't need to reinvent a wheel, but if you put electric motor, you definitely feel something has changed. So you could move faster, you could be in more quiet conditions. The same is here. So with the stable coins, with the DEO banking platform with WeFi, you could feel you could earn more, you could move money much more faster, you could connect different payment instruments. And this is the concept we're building right now. And this year we will be spending all of our time to open new services, new solutions, to expand in the new territories the services. And we definitely need strong partners. So we work with the infrastructure of Visa to address the need of payments, and this is the most relevant customers could expect from us. So when they're bringing the acceptance network for the funds they already have in the platform, that's the way how they believe they could move forward with this. So that's the very good example, and pros and cons you could hear from this. So the basic thing is that yes, it's a complexity, but yes, we have a solution, and the platform is kind of this solution, and you could feel it just looking on the comments from the users, how they feel their life become better once they get a card, they make payments, they could earn money with the platform, and combination of this make them happy.
Well, it does sound very pleasant just to have a seamless experience like that and use crypto and not pay a lot of commissions on every single transaction and have limitations like that. But I can ramble on it for a very long time. And thank you for touching on your plans, because that was exactly my follow-up. Before I ask that question to Alexandra, I know, Michael, that WeFi is planning to, is that okay for me to ask, are you going to tackle Europe as well? Is that the region that you're looking into? And I also remember you potentially coining a new term. Is that correct? Is it not neobanking or something else? Am I asking that right? Is it something that you could talk about publicly at this point?
About new like the potential expansion to the regions. Yes, I think it's good to know that Europe is one of the biggest market, and with the conditions we discussed already, the regulation, the structured way of doing business. There are a lot of clients there, so we believe it should be available. It should be enabled. We want to bring our services to Europe. We're also considering other markets. With this coining concept, can you be more specific? What do you have in mind?
I'm not even sure if you guys planning to say that. It's just there is a new term that has been thrown around by the WeFi team in terms of neobanking, but not something like that. But maybe it's just not out for the public yet. I'm not gonna say. So
that's how innovation works. So
all right,
with the
so,
fintech, they as fast as possible, even designing new terms for the services.
Yes. So I heard it behind the scenes. Maybe it's not public yet, so I'm not going to say, but just follow the WeFi community to find out. And Alexandra, the last point, and I'm going to let you guys go because I know you have a lot of things to do, but thank you so much for your time. Any plans, any other more bigger plans for Visa and stablecoins and or crypto in other senses? Any juice that you can give us for 2026?
I think what I can definitely say is that we will be continue on this direction, bringing stablecoins in different parts of our business to enhance our network, to enhance the experience of our clients, and to the networks and platforms. So it started to be really interconnected. I think that's the path we're going towards. And we continue working a big part, which we're actually doing today. And I know it's less transactional, but it's still, we do a lot on a consulting side. Because to my earlier point, the regulation unlocked a lot of interest and a lot of traction for traditional players, from largest financial institutions to the fintechs and merchants and acquirers, etc. So we're working a lot with that group through our consultancy practice. We created specific stablecoin consulting practice, actually, to work related to the use case and to help understanding. Because I think it's so important what we're discussing, but the scale matters. What matters is who own the clients. And we have already a huge financial ecosystem who has a client relationship just historically. So I think the big part of what we're doing is we need to embrace, we're always an enabler of the broader financial ecosystems and the payments. And I think we continue moving with this enabler role. And we're not saying, oh, this is not valid anymore, let's build something new. I think our role as Visa is always embrace providing and enhancing and help scaling to our clients, no matter the new technology and new geography. This is where we see our role as a huge enabler with a global scale, with the security as a mindset, no matter which technology we bring forward. And I think this is I would say that's a big play in coming couple of years, so that what we're discussing can actually happen.
True. True. And good luck with that. Looking forward to seeing what both of the companies are going to bring. And thank you so much again for your time, for your wisdom. Thank you for sharing that with us. And yeah, again, as I mentioned, good luck building, and hopefully we will be having this amazing conversation very soon. Thank you so much.